Alright boys, we're installing a 50-inch snow thrower attachment to a Husqvarna YTH24K48D. We've already gone ahead, put the winch on, all the brackets on the side. We're just doing the wire in here. And in the instructions it doesn't really show you, so we thought we'd make a video, let you know how to do it properly. Got the switch installed here, and the relay's there. We got to run a loom with some wire in it, straight back from the solenoid here below the battery. We've already gone and taken that out, so we'll just show you the proper way to do it. All right, so we've gone and fed the wire through this little cover that sits in like that. We've got the relays all tucked away, zip tied back there. We've got the ground going right to that connection there on the tank, and then running the wire in a loom underneath the tractor here. So it's just going down through the bottom of where this cover will sit. Just getting tucked right up above the frame rail.
Watch out for that bracket.
And that should be right in place.
All right, so we've run this wire all the way from the front, all the way here to the back. We're gonna be tying this black wire here onto this terminal here, coming right from the battery lead. Make sure you run it in a loom. Since this is a tractor, there's gonna be a lot of vibration. If it's not in a loom, there's a chance this wire would get rubbed through. If that happens, you'll get a dead short. Could fry more than just the battery, could cause a lot of electrical issues. So we've run that all the way up in a loom against this other loomed harness here. Just followed that exact path, zip tied it alongside. Now we're here. We're going to be cutting that off there. We're going to be butt connecting and heat shrinking that connection there to make sure it's nice and solid and watertight. This is also going to get zip tied up into here just to keep it out of the way and safe.
Pro tip, when you got your ring terminal, you don't need this blue plastic stuff. You just take that off, chuck it away, you don't need it. You get the heat shrink tubing, the good stuff, just down at your local home hardware, and you're just gonna heat shrink that right on there. You don't have any of that extra blue stuff, because that ain't gonna help you. That's gonna be a beautiful connection to your wire right there.
All right, we're gonna strip this back, not too much, but you always wanna strip a little more first, and then you can just kind of clean that up, get it the right length that you want. A little snip, we'll clean up that debris later. I'm gonna take that there. I'm gonna take that ring terminal now.
It's in the cup holder.
All right, thanks pro tip guy. Take that, slide your heat shrink over the end of that. And we wiggle that on there. You don't want too much sticking at the end, but you do want a little. We're gonna take this, crimp that down nice and good. Back over there. Just fan it over top of that heat shrink. And that's it, we're done.
Must be. All right, and then this is getting connected onto that solenoid post.
We are missing all of the screws, but...
You mean the nut that's in the cup?
All right, we got the nuts.
Your home hardware will have nuts. Look at that manual dexterity. And that's going to be a 7/16 wrench, also in your cup holder. That's Stanley set, purchased at your local home hardware. Crank that down, quarter past hand tight, snug it up. Now that that's done, toss your little battery bucket back down in there. Yep, just like that. Toss the battery in there. Once you're finished all your connections, you never want to do any wiring while you got the battery plugged in. And then we will now have power down here, we got to toss a fuse in there. And then we've got all the wiring up to that point. Now we just got to wire up the winch itself. So in one of the looms here, you're going to have a black and a brown wire. This loom's just going to get tucked in behind the engine itself. Make that wiring nice and neat, not in the way of anything. Just bring this right down along. Make sure not to run it too close to the muffler there. Tends to get pretty hot. And then you're going to be connecting it right up to the 2 posts on your winch. Way up in there, making sure to keep it out of the way of the exhaust. And there's going to be a clamp that attaches the little loom right up into that. Make sure you got the brown wire going to the top, black wire to the bottom. And Jeff's just over here fixing up the other end of that wire from the loom we just ran. So he's just using the butt connector to connect the two, with a little bit of heat shrink already on the butt connector. This is the blue stuff you can keep.
We had to cut the end of the wire off. There was a ring terminal on there intended for a front mounted battery unit. This is a rear mounted battery unit.
Alright, let's grab the blowtorch.
Alternatively, should probably be using a heat gun.
This is just cooler.
This is just what we have kicking around. We don't have a good heat gun. So just fan it. Don't keep the flame on there too much. You don't want to burn the wire. Just want to take your time, go slow. These heat shrinks take a little more time to shrink up than the black ones do. Don't rush it. These ones also have hot melt glue on the inside of it. The black ones do as well, just not as much. So you'll see these ones ooze a lot more. With these ones, you really want to make sure you get around all the sides. These ones don't shrink up the same as those black ones. So. And that's it.
So now we've got a proper connection from the solenoid post on the battery right down to the relay that we've got tucked in behind there. We've got the negative on the right hand side of the gas tank, and now we just got to put a fuse in there. We've got it hooked up to the winch, and then after that the only other wire is this guy right here, which plugs right in to the actual snow thrower itself. And that should be it for the wiring. Alright, so we've got a little bit of cable management here done. These came with the kit, so it's just a little clamp that goes onto the end of this 1.5" 3/8 bolt. Same deal on the other side here for the all of the attachments for the actual snow thrower itself over there. This is just the harness that came with it for the headlights, that it goes on top of the lid just out there. And then we're just finishing up here, making sure to tape all the ends of our looms, just that it doesn't slide around. Got the fuse in place here. The fuse was a little loose, so we're just tossing a zip tie on the top of it here, just so it doesn't move around at all. Seeing as it is a tractor. It does have a little bit of vibration going on, especially right next to the engine.
That's not something you want to lose in the snow. So to throw a zip tie on there. A couple extra seconds it takes. Could save you a couple hours because this is a specialty time delay fuse. If you lose that, I don't know if your local store will have that.
Not even your local home hardware.
No. Probably find something that'll work, but just a little insurance there.
Yep, so this is how it's looking on the side. Got the wiring just ran through a little vent in there for the switch, and that should be the end of the wiring. So now it's just on to installing the adapter plate just over here. This bolts onto the bottom for the pulley, connects to this, and then that's all she wrote. Alright, so we're replicating the same thing here on the other side. Taking off this bracket. Reusing the hardware. Putting it back into the right hand hanging bracket. you put it into the right way. Then you've got the shoulder bolt as well, with another 3/8 flared nut. There you go.
All right, here's your pro tip today, boys. This is Univalve Crown KL73 lubricant, long-lasting rust inhibitor. You want to put that stuff on anything you touch. Anything that's going to move, you want to make sure that everything has got this stuff on it. Because up here in the Great White North, we get a lot of corrosive materials. Salt, water, snow, anything that moves. Just give her a quick spray down, and you'll make sure your beautiful lawn tractor is lasting as long as it can. You can grab this guy at your local home hardware. They always got that stuff stocked. And after you got all your bolts, and you got everything that moves, it'll be riding fine in no time.
Alright, so the next step is to get your pulley assembly ready here. So I'm just going to go through what I've done to get it ready to go on the mower here. So, first step being, since I have an electric engage mower, so just over here, if you've got just a little pop up like that and pop down to engage the blade, you have an electric. Whereas if you would have the full manual shifter at the top here just to pull over to engage the blade, that would be a manual engagement. So this video is going to be showcasing the electric engagement just because that's what I got here to work with. So in order to get your pulley assembly ready, these brackets must go on. So with the big pulley here being the back of it, this, I was going to show the left hand side, and then you'll mirror the same thing on the right hand side here. So you've got these two hooks here. You want those facing out, and all of your brackets are going to be installed on the inside of this frame rail right here. A couple 5/16 bolts, washer, nylon jam nut on the outside, and then for the front ones up here, 5/16 bolt with 2 washers, and then a jam nut. And when you're installing these, they do have a little notch right there. That'll come to play later on. Just make sure you do have that facing the front. And then on the other side here, just the exact same thing. This side does have a little L bracket that you're going to want to install. You don't want to tighten that one up yet because there is still more to come for this here. You're just putting a carriage bolt into the back hole going through the inner of the 2 holes because there's 2 right next to each other. It's actually for the manual engagement clutch, so you don't need that if you have the electric one. And then that's all of the mounting brackets done. So the next step for this mower is to install this little spring here on the bottom. So for that, let's try and get this situated here. You're going to have this bolt coming through here. This spring comes with the kit. You put the spring on, and then you put on another nylon jam nut. You want to make sure that you do still have a free range of motion for your spring, or else you have done it incorrectly and it won't work properly. So just make sure you've got that done. And we'll flip it back over here for you. So, next step after that, you have to install your tensioner chains. So this is the spring that I just installed just for this one. This spring is already pre-installed with the pulley assembly that we have here. So for this one, you've got your spring installed, tensioner chain, and then you're going to want to put a 3/32 cotter pin on the 5th link in. For the other side here, just get that out of the way, you're going to want to install your cotter pin on the 4th link in. I don't know if you can see that down there. For the right hand side, it goes through the 6th hole, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where that goes through. And on this side, it is the 4th hole in. So that one already has the hole taken up from the plate. And then that's going through the hole there, and the notch at the bottom of the plate if you install that correctly. So then the next step is to get your belt on. The kit does come with 2 different size belts, 56 and a 55-inch belt. The 55 is for the electric engagement clutch. So that's what I've gone ahead and installed there. You just got to loosen off this little hex bolt here just to fit the belt around, and then after that you're good. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to be showing you one side and everything will be mirrored onto the other side. So installing the pulley system onto the deck, or where the deck would have been, you've installed the 2 shoulder bolts up there. And so the 2 sort of grooves slide into that. And then the other bracket that you installed up here, you have a pin that pushes through that, and then that'll go into the other bracket on the pulley assembly. You toss a cotter pin through there to hold that in place. And then once you get your belt slipped onto the drive pulley, you use the tension chain. This one is only for the left side because this is the top. So you pull the left side one tight, toss a cotter pin through there just to hold tension, and then you're good to go for the drive side of the snow thrower attachment. There is going to be installing the controls for the blower itself. So the tilt up and down control comes as one assembly. That just bolts right in with a couple 5/16 carriage bolts, the bowed washers, and nylon jam nuts. And then into that you have to thread through the like the side-to-side movement. That tilts in, little rubber grip goes on that. And then that bolts in down here. A couple more 5/16 carriage bolts, washer, and a nylon jam nut below. And then after that, that's all your controls installed. Next step's one you don't want to miss here. So you're going to want to make sure that you're coating this little upper ring right here with just some general purpose grease. Any grease will do, just to make sure that you don't have any unnecessary friction caused on the movement of these 2. And then next step's going to be installing the chute. So next step is actually finally installing the chute itself. So you've got this little lock spacer here. Basically just stops it from turning all the way in either direction. And then what you're going to be doing is you've got 6 bolts all the way around, and they have 2 spacers below. The skinny one goes on the top facing the bottom, the wider one on the bottom, little 5/16 hex bolt, and then the washer and included lock nut as well. You've got 6 of those all the way around the outside, 2, 2, 2. All with the spacers included. And then once you've got those installed and tightened up, you can then go ahead and snug these up, make those tight. And then after you've got that installed, you can go ahead and test it all out there. So that's for the tilt up and down. And then for the turning. So there you go, you got the chute installed. The fun part of actually attaching the blower to your tractor itself. So probably a good idea to get a buddy to help you put this on. It does get pretty awkward at times. So then this just attaches to the one shoulder bolt, just slides over. And then you have a clevis pin going through, cotter pin on the other side, and it's the exact same thing on the other side there. And then all you do is just attach the wiring harness, green to green, black to black, and then you're all hooked up. Okay, so next step here is just putting the drive pulley for the auger onto the bottom of the pulley system that we previously installed. So I'll show you the routing if I can here. I'll just use the diagram. Alright, so this is from the left. I'll do it from the right side because that's where we are. You got the belt coming up around the bigger pulley, and then just sort of looped around the tensioner pulley and then back down through that one there. So I've got that all installed. You do have to loosen up this bolt. There's another bolt on the other side, just on the other side of the pulley here that you got to loosen up. And then once you got those loosened, you can slip the belt around. And then once you get those around, you got the tensioner pulley here, which again, you just pull tight like you did on the other side. Put the cotter pin in just so it has some tension on the belt. And then that is the belt installed. All right, so once you've got the belt installed, you just got to set the height of the auger itself. So it should work. Once you've got it up to its max height there, you just want to make sure that you have in between 3 to 4 inches from the scraper blade just at the bottom there to the ground. And once you've got that set, that's it. It's all finished. You just got to put the lid back on for the hood, plug back up the wiring harness for the lights there. And then the kit also comes with a couple of reflectors. So I just toss those onto the back there just for some safe operation. And it is recommended with this kit to buy some wheel weights and chains. as well to go along with it, just so you make sure you never get stuck in your snow clearing adventures.
Are you recording?
Yes.
2. Pro tip here, you got your ring terminal. This blue plastic stuff, you don't need it. How did you do it so easily? You get the good set, and you just take the shit off. It's not budget, man. It's coming, don't worry. 1 hour later. My girlfriend doesn't like my mustache.